So what happens if Donald Trump loses? Will anything really materialize? Will there be another January 6th? I don't think so. I think honestly at this point, if Donald Trump hopefully he loses the next election, I think it's kind of the death of MAGA. I think at that point, there's been so much losing over such a period of time that there's no point in continuing to go down the same trap. I personally hope they do. I hope they keep going MAGA and keep pushing it because it just keeps them handing them loss after loss. But I think that the thing is too that you know they've donated so much and been swindled by a con man for so long that it's like you become basically like like a cult. You can't. There's no saving face after that long. How long is it going to take a generation for the Republican Party to become what they say they were before, kind of the fake party of Reagan, oh, look at all the values that we have. Yeah, not so much, right? Those things kind of went out the window as soon as it was convenient. As soon as the right charlatan came along, they basically dumped, everything right out the window and were ready to go in, hook, line, and sinker. I think the thing is, like anything in life, right? It's always hard to, admit when you're wrong. But also, like, just with anything in life, if you're any type of pursuit, you got to know when to fold. I think, if Donald Trump does lose the next election, I think it's not even a choice anymore of kind of folding in that whole era. I think it has something that has to happen. Now, what's that going to look like? I think the thing is, again, you can replicate Donald Trump. And I think he knows that. That's the big thing, is that if anything happens to him, there's no heir apparent. Dumbass Don and, his son Eric, and there's just nobody else. Nobody else to take up that mantle. Not only that could do it as far as having the same charisma and, word salad that Donald Trump has, where you can say anything and do anything, to convince you that he's on your side when really he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. But there's just nobody at that level, and there's no heir apparent. And so I think the only thing that, if that happens, the only thing left is for someone who's not quite at that level, but has some type of appeal, kind of like how was, the DeSantis that came out of nowhere. And then, everybody learned firsthand that he's a giant clown. That would be kind of the only thing that could happen. And then it would slowly kind of migrate back to like the center line. But we're in for an interesting future, but I hope it's one of humiliation for, Trump and MAGA and, everything. And I hope it just dies, because the reality is, like, I think back to like, Bush Jr. and like, the vision that, his even becoming president had, with the hanging chads and all that kind of thing, to where we are now. And it's like, wow, you long for simpler times, right? But I think the thing is here that even with Bush Jr., like, you may not have liked him. I personally didn't like him. But you knew, yeah, hey, next election, we got a shot, and, at some point we're going to make a change. It's not the same with, Trump and MAGA. Like, it's different. And the thing is that the interesting part for me is that I know, I would say for a fact, but I don't know for a fact, but I feel very strongly that, Donald Trump doesn't believe the BS that he spews. He'll say anything and court anyone to get the support that he needs to get what he wants. But he doesn't believe in any of the things that he's saying, just like, when he claims he's a Christian, that kind of thing. Hilarious. When they asked him about the Bible, he's like, I don't want to get into it because it's too personal. You don't want to throw out one Bible verse? No, it's my favorite book, but I don't want to quote any. Liar. He's a liar. I mean, it's funny. It's kind of hilarious that anyone would believe that dude is a Christian. And there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to be a Christian. He can be whatever he wants. Who cares? But the fact that, people worship him as if he's the second coming is just comedy. But we're interesting for a few, we're in for a few interesting years. And it's going to be, it's going to be a learning experience. I think the future generations will look back and say, you never realize the gravity of something until it's, long past, and you say, hey, that could have really been a turning point. That's where we are.